Alright, so here we are in Tinkercad. There are multiple ways that we can go about designing some Christmas tree ornaments. The first way that I'm going to show you is what I call the blank canvas ornament, and it's really simple. So to get started, I'm going to bring a cylinder out into the work plane, and as far as sizing goes, you can really size it however you like. I like to make mine 3 millimeters tall and then 50 by 50. But that's for a smaller tree, so if you want to make them bigger, smaller, just however you want to do that. Make sure to increase the sides here so that you can get a much smoother and better quality cylinder. And I'll go in and just make the color white. So that's going to be just the simple flat surface that we have. Now we need to create a hook or a loop of some sort so that we can put a ribbon or some type of fastener through it so that we can hang it on the tree. So I just brought a tube in, and I'm also going to take that down to 3 millimeters tall, and I'll switch the dimensions to 15 by 15. That seems to be a pretty good size. And then we'll bump the sides up on that so it's nice and smooth. I'm going to go on and center it. Click L to align. And what I want to do here is just increase the wall thickness a little bit so that it's nice and sturdy. That looks pretty good, and I'm going to bring it down in a little bit. We don't need a full circle sticking out. So we're aligned there. So I'm going to make that white, Control G to group them. Alright, and that looks good. That's nice and strong. So yeah, that'll work. So there you go. That's your simple blank canvas that you have to work with that we can do a lot of various designs on. You can make it look pretty much however you want to. So I'm going to go on and just bring this over here and Control D to duplicate it, and then there we go. Now I have 3 to work with. So I'm going to show you a few different directions you can go as far as how you want to design these, but you can certainly do anything that you like or anything that you can think of. So for this first one here, I'm just going to do a simple text on it to kind of put it into the Christmas spirit. So I'm going to bring the text out here, drop it in, and I'm just going to type joy. That's a good Christmas word, joy to the world. And now I can just resize that. Let's see. Resize it a little bit. That looks pretty nice. I'm going to make it 4 millimeters tall so that when I go to print it, I'm going to do a filament change. And that way, this will print at 3. And then I know to change in between, or right at 3 millimeters, change it to, I'll probably do red. And then I'll have 1 millimeter printing height so that the word joy is nice and clear, easy to read, and no painting required. So if you want to leave it like that, you could. I'm actually going to off-center that a little bit so that that looks a little bit better, I think. You can either group those together and have a completed design. I'm going to bring in another tube here, bump up my sides, make that 4 as well, and then I know that my circle was 50 by 50. I'm just going to give it a nice little perimeter. Decrease my wall thickness by a little bit, change that to red so that it matches the word, get that aligned right there. Let's make sure, yeah, it looks like we're right on the money. So now what I can do is I can align this within the tube, not on the ornament itself, because the ring that we have here up top, that would actually cause it to be off-centered. So that lets you get it aligned up and down. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. That looks nice. And I'm going to go and group that together. Change that to multicolor so you can still see your color variations. So there you go. That is a really easy, simple ornament that you can custom make. Put any text you want on there, maybe put the year or your family's name, and you've got a really good looking custom Christmas tree ornament. So I'm going to bring that over there. So that's the first concept that you can take with the blank canvas style. Now for this one, I'm going to actually put a Christmas tree on it. And there's a lot of ways you could go about this. I'm just going to bring in the roof design, rotate that, bring it up here, and we'll make that also right at 4 so that when we bring it over here it just sticks up a nice little bit. So I've got, that's going to be the very top of the tree. I'm going to hit Control D, bring it down a little bit, and then I'm going to click Shift so that I can grow it just a little bit, but then make sure to take the height back down to 4, and that looks pretty good. And then I'm just going to keep clicking Control D, or you could come over here and press that, and it'll just keep proportionally moving it down. And we got a general Christmas tree shape going on. I'm going to line it up, already is. I'm going to delete that last one. There we go. I like that better. Group it up. And now we bring over our newly designed Christmas tree. I'm going to resize a little bit. We don't want it to be too big. And get it back down to 4mm height. And then the last thing for the Christmas tree is we want to have a little tree stump at the bottom, so it's not just a floating Christmas tree. At about 5. There we go. And just to get an idea, we'll make that brown. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the stump, I'm going to make that 3.5 tall, so that if someone actually wanted to do 2 filament swaps, you could do white or whatever color you want to do on the bottom, then brown, which would print right there, and for the whole tree, and then finish it off with 0.5 of green on top for your Christmas tree color. So that is certainly an option if you want to have a 0 painting print. Switch that to multicolor. Let's see, let's test out. Maybe we want to do a red background. That looks good. So I'm going to make sure that my tree is nice and aligned. Kind of eyeball it for the up and down. That looks good. I'm going to group that all together. And there we have it. There's your Christmas tree ornament. So the last style for this blank canvas ornament that I want to show you is bringing in a SVG file. So I'm going to come up here to Import, choose a file. I've previously converted a few basic clip art images to the SVG format. So I'm going to bring in this nativity style clip art. I'm just going to click Import. SVG is the one 2D file format that you can import into Tinkercad. In a lot of cases, that you can turn a simple 2D image into a pretty cool 3D file to work with and enhance your designs. So I had this simple nativity art right here that I'm going to work with for, and this really makes it pretty easy. There's no complex stuff to do. Let's see, I'll probably print that in gold, black and gold. That'll look good. We just line it up. And you could really do that with any type of design you want. I did a few with doing a nice snowflake design, and that turned out for a pretty cool ornament. So that's a really kind of a shortcut right there if you find a good design that you want to work with. So once again, I've got my simple ornament at 3mm height and the nativity at 4, which brings it to 1mm above the ornament. So I'm going to group those together, multicolor, and there you go. That's 3 variations that you can do to work with this simple blank canvas ornament, and that's certainly not the limit to what you can do with it, but that just kind of gets you started. Alright, so now that we've seen how to do some simple blank canvas ornaments at more of a flat 2D style, I'm going to show you how to do some slightly more complex but also a little bit more intricate 3D designs that you can use for Christmas ornaments. So the first thing I want to show you is how to make a gift box ornament, and it's exactly what it sounds like. We're just making a simple little figurine of a Christmas gift box. So I'm going to bring this in size wise. You can really do it however you like. I'll probably make this 30 by 30 and then 30 tall as well. So the basic concept that we want to get is just a symmetrical box that's wrapped by ribbons coming from all different sides and then tied with a bow on top. So first thing I'm going to do is Control D, raise this up. We want to give it where it looks like to be a lid at the top. So I'm going to raise this. Let's see, that might be a little bit too tall. We'll make that 5. Then what I'm going to do is make it where instead of being 30 by 30, we'll probably do 32 by 32. And then we'll align that. So now we have an overhang up here, and what I'm going to do is make that, let's make that 7. And then I'm going to drop that down just to 31. And that way it's just a subtle overhang, but you can tell it's supposed to be a lid on top of a box, and that looks pretty good. I like that. So I'm going to group those together. Now we have the basic outline of what we want to work with. Now I'm going to bring in another box. We'll change this color to green so it's easy to distinguish between what we're working with. And we want this, since what we have here is 31 by 31 and the main box is 30 by 30, we're going to make this 33. Well, actually that is only going to be by about 5. So let's see how that looks. So you can see we'll be sticking out just a little bit on each side, and then what we can do is raise that up to also be 33. And we'll actually just do 31.5. Since we're not going to do anything on the bottom, we just want to have a flat surface on the bottom to make it really easy to print. So that's one ribbon. We'll get that aligned. Now I'm just going to Control D and then rotate it 90 degrees, and now you can start to see it's taking shape and it's starting to look like a gift package that's been wrapped with the bows or the ribbons tied around it, excuse me. And I'm going to go in and group that together. Make it easy to work with, multicolor. So now what we want to do to give ourselves a simple but good looking bow on the top, bring in a tube, rotate that around, bring it up to the build plane, increase your sides so that you have good smooth quality, and we'll bring it up here, get a little bit closer so that we can get an idea for what we're doing with it. And I'm going to squash it down a little bit. We don't want it to be perfectly round, we want it to have a little bit of character to it, and I need to adjust my snap grid. And you can make these bows here really as big or small as you want. If you want them to be prominent, then you certainly can, or if you want them to be a little bit more subtle, that works too. So I got that to about the size that I want it to be. Get it centered, and as you can see, I want it to be exactly 5 so that it lines up with the ribbon that I created right there. And we'll go in and make it green so you can start to see how everything's matching. Control D. I'm going to take the duplicate about right there. So now I'm going to group these two together, and we'll go in and get it nice and centered. And now I want to duplicate that, and rotate the duplicate. So now we kind of have a cool little 4-sided bow going on. And what I'm going to do for that intersection where it gets a little messy, just get in a box, switch it to green. We just want it to be 5 by 5. And that's just going to give it a nice, simple, smooth inside portion. And we'll raise that. We'll just leave that the way it was. We just want to, oops. We just want to get high enough over here that we fill everything in. And I want to align that. So group that up. And then we want to make sure that is all aligned up. And I believe now we're ready to group everything together. And there you go. You have a gift box package that you can run a ribbon or a little metal fastener right through any one of those holes that we have at the top, and that'll print out pretty nicely. And you will have to do a little bit of paint work if you want to have a color variation there, but that is a pretty unique 3D object that you can design and hang from your Christmas tree. Another thing you may want to do is 3D print just a classic sphere Christmas ornament, ones that you see a lot of times on trees. You can make them match pretty easily. So I'm just going to bring in the sphere shape from the panel, and I'm going to make this 40 in all of its dimensions. You could certainly make it a little bit bigger if you want, but for my test print I want it to be a reasonable size. So there we go, we got that. Increase the steps up all the way to 24 for the best quality. And this is really fairly simple. Bring in a cylinder, make sure it's nice and smooth. I'm going to make that 15, and then also 15 by 15. So that's a pretty good size to work with. And we'll just bring that up top. And we know that this is 40 high, so I want to bring this to where the bottom of it is 35 from the ground. And that way I know that it's sunk in at least 5 millimeters into the sphere, so that we have connection everywhere. Then I'll probably drop that down. Let's see, I'm going to take it all the way down to 5. Let's do 7. There we go. That's a pretty good height. And I may end up printing this in, we'll see, red perhaps, and then a silver of some sort for this top part. And now all you need to do is put some type of loop up top. So once again, I'll get the tube over here, rotate it to the angle that I need, and bump those sides up. Let's see, get it right up there. And I know I'm going to need to shrink it down a little bit to make it better to work with. Drop it down in some. You can play around with that, make it however you'd like it to be. Somewhere in between 3 and 5 millimeters wide should probably give you enough strength and stability without making it overly bulky, I would think. And how much you take it up or down, that's kind of up to you. You just want it to where you want to get these bottom portions in here where they're nice and flat against this piece that we have right here. So I'm going to sink it down just a little bit more and then increase my wall thickness so that we know it's nice and strong. That looks pretty good. And get all the pieces aligned with one another. That looks good from the side. So we'll make that the matching gray. And that's really all there is to it. I'm going to group all of these together. And as you can see, now we just have that simple classic sphere Christmas tree ornament.